and Security Cluster have received an appraisal from the Net Joints about the security situation in the country since elections that were held on the 29th May 2024. We are satisfied with how law enforcement agencies prevented and responded to incidents that would have otherwise tarnished the 7th general elections in the country. The Net Joints have further briefed the ministers of the security cluster on their preparedness to assure the safety and security of the country in the post-election phase. Accordingly, as the Independent Electoral Commission have indicated that it is ready to declare the election results this evening, 2nd June 2024. The Net Joints have confirmed to the security cluster ministers of their readiness to ensure continued peaceful environment post the election results declaration. Would like to assure the country that the Constitution provides the mandate to manage the election to the IEC. Therefore, the decision to declare the results rests solely with the IEC in accordance with the law. In addition, the law provides for mechanism to raise disputes with the electoral processes, and it is only those prescribed processes that must be followed. As such, there cannot be any room for threats of instability in order to register objections or concerns about the electoral processes. As the security cluster, we would like to assure South Africans that the law enforcement agencies stand ready to maintain peace and stability as they have done throughout the elections period. Any attempts to undermine the authority of the state and South Africa's constitutional order will not be tolerated and will be dealt with accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. May we have an indications of hands for questions? Can I take hands? I see only one hand. 2, 3, 4. The rule is you introduce yourself, the media house that you come from, and then you ask a question. I'll start with you, and then followed by you, and the two ladies will then follow.
Good morning, Ministers in General. Good afternoon. Alex Mitchell from News 24. Just my first question is, what does the cluster make of the comments made by former President Jacob Zuma talking about possible trouble if the elections are called? I just want to know how the cluster interprets those messages. Is that possible incitement? And perhaps just on the briefing, has the cluster received any intelligence and information about possible unrest in the wake of the election? Thank you.
Go ahead.
Taliso Proba from Eyewitness News. I think my colleague has covered most of it, but I just want to know, I know that a big issue is the MK, and I know that you said that the cluster is ready to act to ensure stability, but I just wonder if has the cluster engaged with the MK leadership just to maybe tone down the rhetoric, or maybe I don't know, from a political level, but it also can just be from an engagement level before something happens. Has the cluster considered just talking to the MK to tone down the rhetoric? Thank
you. Yes.
Minister Katel Sopoto from Kaya News. Minister, before the election started, you did say that there were hotspots that you were watching. We did see some of these small flare-ups in the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal that you have also noted. Are those areas calm now, and in certain hotspots that you've been monitoring, is there stability there?
Tony Simpson from ENCA. Just to follow up on Gadla's question, is there a number in terms of the total number of reported incidences over the voting day especially, but maybe even the 2 special voting days, and also in the country as a whole, and also the number of incidents per province? And then my second question is, can we get clarity on the two men that were alleged to have been picked up by police and related to their involvement in the IT system glitches that happened on Thursday or Friday? Because that was brought up in the MK Party briefing yesterday, last night.
Thank you. Have I missed any hands? Or should we take that round? Okay, ministers, who's dealing with the first question around the comments by former president? We'll need to move them, they'll need to swap seats, we'll need to swap seats.
Yes, sir.
The question was, have we engaged with the MK? No, we have not directly engaged with the MK party. We have, before the elections, called for calm. We have also asked people not to do that which is not legal in this country. We had also indicated that we would not tolerate anybody breaching or tarnishing the name of South Africa thus far, because in the past elections, we have always behaved according to our constitution. So we did not go out of our way to speak to MK Party. We are appealing to all parties, to all individuals in South Africa. We all have the same rights under the constitution of this country, not only to exercise that constitution, but to respect everybody else's right to exercise their own. So we are hoping that our plea to all parties involved will be heard by everybody involved. Those who have seen and those who have not seen will equally be affected by the same. So we do not think that we want to have a conversation across or with one individual party. We are appealing to South Africans to respect the laws of South Africa.
There were questions about flare-ups. There were questions about flare-ups that happened, especially in KZN, that would be Potchefstroom, and in Durban, a day before election. And the well-known one was Umtata one. The Potchefstroom one, police dealt with decisively so, because they tried to have the talks, and the issue was with the taxi industry. Many people thought it was the trucks because there was that in the air that the trucking industry were going to block. Yes, indeed, there was very long on the N2 towards Oripi Plaza trucks. That's why they thought it was the tax and then tax industry, and then it was discussed. When it did not happen that they move, the police acted to move that, and it took quite a short time to do it. And the next day it was eThekwini Spaghetti Junction, and that one also, it was dealt accordingly by the police, and there were talks, and the next talks on that issue is on the 11th of this month. So everybody accepted that there will be those talks until that day. So we expect nobody to move and to do anything on that. Umtata one had a little bit some complication because the taxi industry had some issues, and then they went to hospital armed. And the law is very strict that you can't go to hospital, you can't go to school armed. Then police were supposed to confiscate their guns. Once the police confiscate your gun, they must go and check it if it was not used and all. Then there was that issue that they want their guns back when they were still taken through the processes, ballistic and all that. And they then went to do what they did. But again, the police, by the time the day ends, that thing has been dealt with by the police. But the other thing, they showed the agility of the South African National Defence Force, because it was invited there, and then it happened that they were part of resolving the matter. The other issue there was the issue of students at Walter Sisulu, but also the leadership of the government in that province, together with the leadership of the university. They dealt with met to solve that thing. So there were two people there that were audio and video, who were openly calling for the war, not people to go to school, to close the roads and all that. And those two people are arrested. I'm told that they got bail either Friday and all that. So the situation is very calm, and is under control with those flare-ups. We're not waiting for any other flare-ups, especially in those areas where we have dealt with. And I'm sure you asked also asked about the statistics of the statistics of the during the election. I think the National Commissioner could work on those statistics as respond to that. But it's also the question of the two people that were picked up, and I think she's better placed to answer that question.
Can we have the National Commissioner dealing with the number of
Three of
incidents?
them. They are caught going. I don't know why that information is not out there. One of them has been sentenced to 12 years, which tells you that even judges and magistrates are serious on the matter. As I've said, that 63 of them are caught going. So others who try that, they will know that there is such a thing. But also, you remember that the President also appointed a commission of Professor Africa. So there were things that were raised there. One of the things that were raised was a strengthening of other units of the police, like POP, public order policing. That has been done. The other thing that they raised was the strengthening of crime intelligence. That thing has been done. It's got the permanent head, it's putting people in place and all that. Maybe that's why many prevented things never reached the purview of public and the media not knowing, because of the improvement of those structures that were supposed to be put in place. And yourself, if you look around, there are many operations that are done by the police before they happen. The shooting of the criminals in their base and all that kind of thing, that is intelligence work. It's not because the Holy Ghost has come there and put the light. No, it's because people are doing their work. We'll continue to do that. Well, Minister from Presidency did raise the issue of the shutdown that was supposed to. You were there. There was no shutdown there, and again, that was not the change of a good heart and all. It was because of the work that was put by the law enforcement agencies, as we have learned our things. But what we are not going to do is to be created for a wild goose as a law enforcement and chase that wild goose. People, they make statements. If those statements are not kind of criminal element on them, and until somebody open the case of them, we're not going to be chasing wild goose. There are people that have made statements, even from that organization you're talking about, before the elections, and those people the law dealt with. They are caught going because they were calling direct kind of blood situation and all that kind of thing. And if somebody opens the case on other thing and say the police must investigate, they will investigate. But I just imagine when the police, every day somebody makes the statement and specifically look at that, we look across the board. You break the law, you don't have to have a label, you don't have to have a name that you are sorry. So whether we are that part on that part, what we need to do is to look at it. And the statement it just said, it doesn't matter who you are. When you get out of the way, when you break the law, that you understand that there is law in the country, will deal with you as the law agencies, law enforcement agencies will deal with you accordingly, and the law will have no eyes to see who you are, what is your label. It will be there to deal with you, and it should be decisive and accordingly.
Minister of Defense, you have no comment?
No,
We'll take the
maybe
last one.
just to say that July 2021, there were some issues. We arrived a little bit late as defense. I can assure you that that was a good lesson. We are not late these days. We get there on time when we are needed. We are prepared. We don't have to have help from somewhere else to get to where we go. We have said that we will not tolerate anybody interfering with the rights of the rest of the citizens. We mean just that. We will not tolerate that. The integrity of South Africa is part of our responsibilities to safeguard. We take ourselves very seriously on that matter. You also said that we have, do we have to comment on the